week 5. There's buys, more injuries. Before Sunday, we need quarterback and tight end rankings for week 5 of the 2024 NFL season. Welcome to E&M Fantasy Football, where I combine industry-leading data, Vegas sportsbooks, and expert analysis to provide you with optimal weekly rankings for the utmost accuracy when setting your weekly lineups in your fantasy football league. I'm writing this on Thursday night for Friday's video. Expect more videos every week for the other unit groupings like wide receiver and running back. And click the playlist in the top right for all the updated rankings for week 5. Sportsbooks have these quarterbacks projected to go over 260 total yards this week. They are Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, and Jordan Love. Lamar Jackson, he faces Cincinnati, 268 total. Josh Allen, he faces Houston, 269 total. Jaden Daniels faces Cleveland, 265 total. And Jordan Love, 256 total. He faces the Rams. Vegas tells us these top 4 guys are in the best position to go over 260 total yards with their arms and legs in excellent matchups with high-scoring totals. In a full PPR fantasy football format, they are your undisputed S tier for week 5. We begin the next tier with the rest of the elite quarterbacks that have the next highest projections in the 250 total yard range. Starting at 5, Kyler Murray. San Fran is league average against the pass. Sam Darnold and Matt Stafford with no receivers went for over 220 yards against them. Kyler's set for 40 rushing and about 216 passing. He's primed to hit his total, which is why he claims the first spot in A tier. They're underdogs. He's going to have to throw, and scramble like crazy. And we'll go with his opponent in the highest scoring game of the week, Brock Purdy, at 6. Only JD5 and Josh Allen went over 230 yards facing Arizona this season, but Brock's averaged 282 yards per game, including his worst 231 yards against the Jets. This game has a 49-point total, and the Niners are 7-point favorites. 7-point favorites. Lock them in. Joe Burrow at 7. 251 total for Burrow this week. It's a huge scoring total. Bengals are only 2-point underdogs, and the Baltimore Ravens are 29th worst against the pass. They allow 257 yards per game to quarterbacks. Burrow is in excellent shape to go nuclear here. And Geno Smith at 8, 250 passing total for Geno. He's your passing leader for the NFL so far this season. Put some respect on Geno Smith's name. He has averaged, get ready, 295 passing yards per game. He gets the league average Giants pass defense, allowing 193 per game. Lock this man in. Baker Mayfield at 9, 244 total for Baker. The Falcons are favored by a point in this one. It's a 43 scoring total. This one could be a stinker. But Baker's average 246 passing per game so far. Atlanta held Mahomes to 217, Hurts to 183, and Fields to just 156. But if Derek can go for 240 yards last week versus Atlanta, Baker should be able to hit his projections. And CJ Stroud at 10. 262 total for CJ Stroud projected by Vegas this week. I know, okay, this isn't what you want to see with CJ. But the truth is, nobody has thrown over 178 yards against Buffalo. His projection is really high. But Lamar Jackson, week 4, 156 yards. Trevor Lawrence, week 3, 178 yards. Tua, week 2, 145 yards. Kyler, week 1, 162 yards. Buffalo is not going to let CJ go for 300 in this one. His ceiling is unlimited. Shout out Russell Wilson. But his floor in this game is much lower than usual. He's still at 10, so don't be scared. For the last quarterback for week 5 in the elite tier, ErvinandM.com. ErvinandM.com is my company my best friend and I started in 2020. We literally make everything ourselves by hand. We have earrings, rings, necklaces, bracelets, tie clips, apparel, and more. Over a dozen curated gemstones and 100 handcrafted products. If you need a gift or something special for yourself, use the promo code in the description, find something you love, and buy it today. Now back to the video. All right, to start the B tier, these quarterbacks are roughly slated for 240 to 230 total yards each. A bit of a drop off from the 260 and 250s. These guys have high upside, but inconsistency holds them back from A tier. Justin Fields at 11. 233 total for Fields this week. Dallas is 20th worst against the pass, allowing 209 yards per game, and Fields has averaged 207 yards per game and 36 rushing on the ground on top of it. I know we haven't seen a lot of this new revitalized Fields and Pittsburgh team, but it's looking good. And you should feel good about slotting him in. They're 2-point favorites in this one. That's right. Pittsburgh is 2-point favorites against the Cowboys. Wow. And you know what? We'll go with his opponent on the other side, Mr. Dickie Dak Prescott. All in the hips, Dak. His line is set at 241 yards. He's averaged 268 passing per game so far. Really good. Pittsburgh is tough, though. They're the 9th best against quarterbacks this year. I swear to God, though, if Bo Nix can rack up 246 passing yards against these fools, he has to. Or Jerry Jones is going to straight up sacrifice somebody. Patrick Mahomes at 13. 233 yards is his projected line. Patrick Levon Mahomes II. This is his lowest line yet. He's averaged 226 yards per game. The only redemption here, besides being a 2-time back-to-back Super Bowl champion with a Pro Future Hall of Famer tight end, is the New Orleans Saints are 25th against the pass. They're bottom 8. Patty Levon, he can get there despite Rice missing. RIP. And Anthony Richardson at 14. 235 total for Anthony. I know. Just let me read it, okay? He's averaged 163 passing per game, 35 rushing per game. It's just under 200 total yards. If he plays, the takeaway this week is it's the Jaguars. He gets the 31st worst defense against the pass. For the love of God, Anthony, please, he has to get it done here. Or the media and the fans are going to lose it. They're going to go insane. And we'll go with the $200 million man, his opponent, in this absolutely disgusting game. Trevor Lawrence at 15. 234 total for Lawrence this week. I like touchdown Jesus. I really do. I've had him on my fantasy teams, but listen, 182 yards per game. Not going to cut it. What are you doing, Dougie P? For the love of God. The Colts are almost just as bad against the pass at 26th worst. It's Jover for the entire organization. They don't win this one. Shahid Khan is going to liquidate them if they can't win. The Jags are favorites. Have to get it done. Caleb Williams at 16. 236 passing yards for Caleb. He's averaged 196 passing yards per game and 20 rushing yards per game as well. He should be fine hitting his total. Panthers, God rest their souls, are a soft matchup, and even though they've been playing well, their defense hasn't. And at 17, Kirk Cousins. 230 total for Kirk. The Bucs have only let 2 quarterbacks throw over 215 yards. Cousins has managed 216 passing per game and negative half a rushing yard, which is hilarious. The totals sucks. They're favorites. This has the looks of a nasty, slow grinding game, at least for the Falcons. I can't imagine he does a lot more than that. From here, you have great concerns. I have great concerns. This is your last chance at anything you can be happy about. These guys are projected for 220 yards. They have high floors and low ceilings. Aaron Rodgers at 18. 226 total for Aaron. He's questionable. He's averaged 212 passing yards per game. Stroud and Jones were held to 200 yards against Minnesota, but Love and Purdy went for over 320 yards. Minnesota is the worst in the league. Worst in the league. 32nd at defending the pass. This is Rodgers' best opportunity so far this season. They're underdogs. The total sucks. Probably going to be a lot of Breece Hall and Aaron Jones. Rodgers' best shot. Matt Stafford at 19. 225 yards for Matt Stafford. He gets the 24th ranked Packers, who allow 230 yards per game. He's averaged 244 passing yards in spite of his best receivers being out. He can do it, but he might get boat raced. And at 20, Sam Darnold. 220 passing for Darnold. I know this is low for a guy who's averaged 233 passing per game, and they're winning. His QBR is 116. This one's all about the matchup and point total. They both suck. And the Jets, as you already know, are number 2 in the league against quarterbacks. Not good. Not good at all. This is the last viable hope. The 210s. 21, Derek Carr. And at 22, Andy Dalton. For Carr, he's averaged 206 passing yards per game. Chiefs are 23rd, allowing 227 passing yards per game. The total is low. They're 5-point underdogs. It's going to be a tough one. Andy Dalton, Red Rockets only played 2 games. But in his 2 games, he's averaged 269 yards. Chicago are only 4-point favorites. They're the 8th best defense against quarterbacks. They only allow 174 yards per game. This is going to be really tough. But from here, these quarterbacks are unstartable. They are your lowest projected fantasy quarterbacks for week 5 with less than 200 yards. We're going rapid fire. Daniel Jones, Deshaun Watson, Bo Nix, Tyler Huntley, Gardner Minshew, and Jacoby Brissett at 28. There's honestly nothing more to say about these 6. If you're starting one of these guys, let me know why. That's your top 32 quarterbacks. Let's do tight ends. We're going to kick it off with the S tier, and we're going to go Travis Kelce, George Kittle, and Trey McBride. I don't know, they're all red. I don't know what's up with that. These top 3 tight ends are all projected to be in the best position by Vegas sportsbooks to go over 50 receiving yards. This is the highest amount for week 5. They are your elite S-tier tight ends. Lock them in. The next tier is for the rest of the tight end ones, projected for about 30 to 40 receiving yards. Any of these guys could finish top 3. They just have lower floors than the guys above. Brock Bowers at 4. His line set at 45. If Cade Otton and Pat Freiermuth can go for over 40 yards against the Broncos, then Brock Bowers can too. He's averaged 54 yards per game. He's in a great spot, especially with Adams missing. Jake Ferguson at 5. His over-under set at 42. Fergie, the Ferg Daddy, Big Ferg, he's averaged 53 receiving yards per game. Outstanding. Now, the Steelers have been savage so far, only allowing 1 tight end to go over 25 yards. But their names were Kyle Pitts, Greg Dulcich, Will Dissly, and Mo Alley Cox. Kind of an unfortunate name. Lock in Jake Ferguson. And Tucker Craft. Tucker Craft. Oh boy. I know you're excited for this one. His line set at 35. Kraft's averaged 32 yards per game, but 50 with love. Every tight end that's faced the Rams this season has went over 34 yards. This is a smash spot for Kraft. If you grabbed him after the waiver wire video, celebrate in the comments. Lock him in this week, boys. Looking good. Looking good out there. I don't know why his picture's so bad. I'm sorry. And at 7, Dalton Kincaid. 43 over-under. He's only averaged 33 receiving yards per game. And Cole Kmet was the only one to get close to 27 yards against Houston. However, Kincaid has the talent to do it, even with Houston being top 5 defending the pass. Tough sledding. David Njoku at 8. This is a tough one. Njoku's expected to return this week. He's an absolute monster at the position. However, we don't really know how healthy or involved he'll really be. On top of that, only one tight end exceeded 12 yards when facing Washington. But he's arguably the Browns' best player. If he plays, I'm slotting him in. So, Pat Fryermuth at 9. His over-under set at 32. The Muth has averaged 39 yards per game. He's been great this season and getting better alongside Fields. The only issue in this matchup is that Dallas has only allowed one player to go over 6 yards. 6 yards. And that was David Njoku with 44. Pat is certainly talented enough to do it. He takes the 9th spot. Slot him in. And at 10, we'll go Colby Parkinson. His over-under set at 33. He's averaged 28 yards per game. Packers have allowed tight ends to catch passes this season against them, albeit 15 yards, 22 yards, and 31 yards. Besides Kyron Williams, Stafford doesn't have a lot to work with. So, Colby has a chance here. B tier. These tight ends are the last viable options projected out in the high 20s. We're only at 11. Zach Ertz. 27 over-under for Zach. Ertz has averaged a respectable 37 yards per game. However, he gets the Browns, where not a single team's tight ends have been allowed to go over 19 yards. So it's a tough matchup, but he's done well. Cole Kmet at 12. The good news is he's averaged 40 yards per game, and the Panthers have allowed every single tight end to get 30 yards or more. The bad news is he's questionable, and those games were 34 yards, 97 yards, 27 yards, and 4 yards, respectively. Targets from 1 to 3 to 5 to 11. It's a coin toss. Slightly luckier than 50-50 coin toss. Cade Otton at 13. He's managed 25 yards per game. The problem is every single tight end that faces the Falcons have went under their projections. And it's worth mentioning that 3 out of the 4 did get at least 27 yards. So besides the total, there's not really a lot to look up to in this game. Kyle Pitts at 14. Starting to get rough. Real rough. Pitts has only managed 26 yards per game, and that's skewed with one game at 59 as an outlier. His other games, 26, 20, and 0. He got 0 yards in his last game. 0 for 3. It's not like they didn't throw him the ball. They threw him the ball 3 times. 0 yards. 2 out of the 4 tight ends hit their projections when facing Tampa. It's the only bright spot. It's scary. I know. Evan Ingram at 15. It's easy to forget that besides being allergic to touchdowns, he finished last year as one of the most productive tight ends. We've only had 1 game for data with Ingram. His status is still unknown. The good news is when good tight ends face the Colts, they go over. And when bad tight ends face them, they go under. So throw up a prayer. And we have arrived at the cliff. From here, these next guys are also projected in the 20s, but have a much lower floor. Noah Fant at 16. He's got the best chances out of everyone left. He's averaged 28 yards per game, though it is a bit skewed with one 60-yard performance. The takeaway here is the Giants have allowed 4 out of 4 tight ends to hit their over to the tune of 49 yards, 29 yards, 62 yards, and 27 yards, respectively. So he's got a chance. Isaiah Likely, 24 over under. He's averaged 18 yards per game in his last 3 contests. The only bright side is the point total and the fact that 3 out of 4 tight ends hit their over when facing the Bengals. Nothing else to say. Dalton Schultz at 18, 26 over under for his yards. Schultz has been disappointing. There's no other way to say it. He's only averaged 20 yards per game. Even worse, he gets the Bills, who have only allowed 1 tight end to go over their projections. The air yards are available. They don't get spent on Dalton. Tyler Conklin at 19, 25 over under. Excluding the 93-yard game against New England, he's averaged just 11 yards per game. The good news is the Vikings have allowed 3 out of 4 tight ends to go over their projections, one to the tune of 53 yards and another at 76 yards, so it's possible. It's unlikely, but it's possible. Mark Andrews at 20. Oh boy. Get ready for this. Grab onto something. This is going to be hard to hear. Excluding Andrews' 51-yard game in week 2, he's averaged 4.6 yards per game. 4.6 yards. We had to break out the 10th decimal place for his yardage. It's only been 4 games, but this looks almost as bad as it can be. Taysom Hill at 21. This dude's the ultimate coin toss. Less than 1 receiving yard per game, 25 rushing per game, and 2 touchdowns in 1 out of 3 games. If you're playing Taysom Hill, you're a mad lad, and I need to know. Ridiculous. Mike Gesicki. Oh boy. Check out this stat line. 18 yards, 91 yards, 47 yards, -9 yards. How do you get -9 yards as a tight end? The only thing Gesicki's got going for him is his ceiling and the fact that tight ends have went nuts against the Ravens this season. It's worth mentioning. Tight ends finished 37 yards, 47 yards, 95 yards, and 98 yards. So there's a chance. And Hunter Henry at 23. His over-under set at 25. Kind of the same story for Hunter Henry. 1 game with 109 yards. The rest are about 13 yards each. But he doesn't get the matchup that Mike does. Tight ends facing the Dolphins have only had 1 successfully go over their projections. The others were under. He's probably the most talented players on the Patriots, though, that's not a running back. I don't know. Not good. Not good. But believe it or not, from here, it's about 20 yards. These tight ends, it's RIP. They're practically unstartable. We'll go rapid fire. Juwan Johnson, Noah Gray, and Jonnu Smith at 26. I'll put your tight ends and quarterbacks back on screen now. Tight end continues to be one of the hardest roster positions for fantasy managers. That's your top tight ends. That's your top quarterbacks. I know. Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. I sincerely hope this helps everyone watching. Comment below what you think of the rankings. Are you scared? Are you 4-0? Let me know. Thank you for your time, and if you want to support the channel so I can keep making videos like these, subscribe and turn on post notifications so you can see all the videos each week before submitting your lineups. It's free, so it's a good value. If you want to support me, support you, check out my store at www.ervinandm.com. I have 2 passions, fantasy football and small business. We're a 2-man show at E&M. We take pride in the quality and craftsmanship of our products. There's no better way to support me than by buying a gift or something special for yourself.
Everything is handcrafted from limited stock here in North Carolina. By us, by me and my partner, our hands. We do everything. We do everything ourselves. Ship anywhere in the US. Don't forget the promo code. Thanks again if you're still with me. That's the video. See you in the comments in the next video.